Okay, I'm so excited. We just got back from our leaders retreat in Orlando, and we had the privilege of having the one and only Victor Antonio, who does his thing with us at Plexus. Yay, Victor. He taught us just some amazing things, and he's really put some things into perspective for me. God really gave me this vision on the way home on the airplane of how to incorporate some of the things he taught us to do in our presentation into our story. So that's kind of where I'm going with this today. Victor talked about how to always overcome the objection in your presentation before you get the objection. And I've always done that from 25 years of selling. I've always done that in my presentation without actually bringing it up and pointing it out, just kind of in conversation. So it was kind of neat to see how, you could actually just put it in your presentation and knock over all the objections, because it's always easier to bring up the objections before you get them, because then you have torn down the barriers with people. Sometimes when you're a really passionate person, and I know I did this in the beginning of my business, my original business 25 years ago, when someone would give me an objection, well, I don't have time to sell that. I would just, I'd be like, oh, but yeah, you do, here's what happened, and here's what you can do, and it's so, first of all, they shut down because they immediately feel like you're being defensive, you're trying to convince them, you're trying to sell them, it's all about you. It's completely obnoxious. So, and times have changed. Sales have evolved, and the way we do sales and the way we connect with people. Definitely the internet has changed that. So I love that he brought that to face. So what I want to do, and the vision I had coming home on the airplane was, if we could simply do this in our pleximony, in our testimonies, then we could do the same, we could conquer the same results as Victor taught about doing in the presentation. So let me give you an example. I wrote down 3 common objections that we get. And of course, if these aren't the objections you get, then write down the ones you get. But these are very common. So I would say these would probably hit most of you. I don't have time. I don't have time to sell Plexus. I can't afford to buy the product, and I'm not a salesperson. So these are all objections you would get from, say, a customer and an ambassador. I'm just saying common objections, period, in sales. So let's just say that those 3 are objections that you hear a lot. You could say something like, you're talking to someone and, they're like, well, what do you do? And, you tell them what you do, and they say, oh, I could never do anything like that. I just don't have the time. And you say, well, and this is actually having to overcome one. So I'm going to show you the difference. So then you kind of have to backtrack, and you have to say, well, I didn't think I had the time either. But man, when I saw my results and people just started asking me what I was doing, I was feeling better. My energy was better. My pain was better. Then I realized, what? It took less time than I thought. And, as the checks started rolling in, I kind of found some more time. So I really found that people do make time for what's important. So, it may not be for you. You may not have the time, but I sure found the time. Because sometimes I think it's best if we pull back from people instead of seeming so convincing and anxious. When people say, I don't know if I could remember to take those products, the 3 or 4 you're talking about. I say, well, you know what? I didn't think I could either. But when I started taking them and I noticed how incredible I felt, and I was able to actually get off some medications, I made the time. But you know what? It may not be for you. Maybe you really won't make the time. It's not for everybody, Here's my card. If you look into it, you feel like you could make the time to try it, you have nothing to lose, but here's my card. Let me know if you need anything. Here's my thing. Too many people need what we have. I'm not going to convince anybody. I'm going to share my story, and if they want it, great. So another objection, I can't afford it. So I'm talking to someone, and maybe instead of waiting for that objection, I could say in my story, I was really reluctant, about when I got into the business. I got into it for the products, but I was really reluctant because, I couldn't even afford an extra $100 a month. And so I was thinking, oh gosh, how am I going to afford these products? But what I found was right away, the products made me feel so much better. My pain was so much better. I thought, you know what? I can afford this because I'm going to be able to get off some medications. I didn't want Cokes anymore. I drink maybe 2 Cokes a week now, but I was drinking 3 or 4 a day. I didn't want the afternoon snack, so it really saved me money. So as far as for me, I had the same thought, but I overcame that real quick. And then after I told 3 or 4 people, and they bought the products, it paid for itself. So, but it may not be for you. You just, you have to be the one that decides that. So, you have nothing to lose. You can try a 3-day trial, 7-day trial, or you can try a 30-day, and we have a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's up to you. You have nothing to lose. So incorporating that into your story. Another one would be, I'm not a salesperson. That's the thing people think. So maybe when you're talking to them in your story, you could say something like, you could say something like, and for me, and you got to be sincere, guys. You got to be sincere. So for me, I would say something like, I did not want to even hear about selling another thing. I've done sales in the past. Actually, I love to sell, but I was tired of it. I was burnt out, and I thought, I don't even want to think about selling one more thing. But when I took this product and it did so much for me, it was like finding a shoe sale. I'm going to tell all my girlfriends about it. It was the same thing. So I found that I didn't have to sell, and that was important to me because I was totally against selling anything else. So that's how I incorporate that into my story. For you, you may not be a salesperson, and so your story may be, I'm not a salesperson, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it because I felt like I was going to have to sell. But what I found was that the products did so much that I didn't have to sell. So be honest in your story. So what I would say to you is take maybe 2 or 3 objections that you hear a lot and write them down and look at them and go, was that my objection? Were those some of my objections? If they were, learn how to incorporate those into your story when you're talking to people. And just be real with people, and then you don't have to overcome them. Now, you may get some that aren't in your story, and if you do, you need to learn the answers, but you need to learn them in a way that is non-threatening, non-pushy, non-anxious, non-convincing. The push-pull effect is my favorite thing to use. So when I'm talking to someone and they go, I've tried a lot of things and I'm not interested. Then I usually use the feel, felt, found, well, I totally understand. I totally felt the same way. But what I found was, I thought, well, what if this was the last thing I had to try? And you know what? Lucky for me it was. But you know what? It may not be for you. All I can do is give you my card. At a point in your life, if you're interested in learning more, great, contact me. And you know what? Better than that, if you have a friend that's doing it locally, contact them. I'm not out to sell you. I really am so passionate about what I have that I really don't mind you purchasing this from someone else that you know. I just want to get the message out there to you. These have changed thousands of lives, and it could change yours. So here's my card. Maybe down the road. Check it out. So push-pull. Don't try to, give information and then kind of take it away. If they lean in and want more, then you lean in and give more. If they pull back, you pull back. Guys, we have the best products out there and the best opportunity. there's no need for us to go out there like a hungry wolf. So I hope this helped you today. Thanks, Victor, for giving me some ideas to run with. I'm excited. I have more. So you guys go out there and do your thing today.